So I've put together a little selection of some 2025 drivers here, and as we all know, they are continuously getting more and more expensive every year. Pretty much all of them are $600 US or more, and up here in Canada, we're talking about $900 or very close to. So a lot of the time people get frustrated. They think, I'm spending all this money and I'm being told, oh, it only comes with a stock shaft. You know, there's an aftermarket shaft world. Am I spending this $900 Canadian, this $600 and something American, and getting something inferior in there that I'm not going to hit good shots with? And I just think that that's simply not true. Of course, there are advantages to aftermarket shafts. They are constructed differently, they're manufactured differently, there's more options. But to say that there are kind of no really good stock shaft options, I just think is false. So what I want to do is show you kind of my favorites. Obviously, shop's been open here for quite some time now. Tested these, not just myself, but with a lot of customers, and seen ones that work really, really nicely. Wouldn't say they're my favorites, not like they're the only ones I use, but they are some of the best. So driver by driver, I've picked a few here. I want to start with one I often use in a TaylorMade head, a QI35 head, which is this kind of new Kylie series. There's a blue one, there's a white one. The blue is a little bit on the more, Ventus blue side, the white one a bit stiffer, in this sort of dark wave, sexy matte finish. You'll see a little bit of occasional tour usage out of Kylie stuff with the MR70, meaning just some good carbon fiber content in the shaft. This one I find fits a wide range of players. Even if it's kind of mid-swing speed, we can go kind of into the lighter weight in the stiff. And if you've got some speed, if you're up above 110, the X models actually hold up pretty well. So let's start with that. I'm going to hit a couple there. Hit that pretty nicely. So that's just over 120 miles an hour. Club head speed, we got lots of ball speed, good launch, good spin. The shaft feels relatively stable. For me, maybe a tiny bit light. Maybe it's got a little bit of kick to it, but felt pretty good. Felt like it held up quite nicely. Squared it up at impact just fine. There's another one there. Wasn't perfectly struck. It's actually a little bit high in the toe. Head stayed relatively stable. So, a lot of the aftermarket shafts, yes, we know that they should be doing a little bit better job, stabilizing the strike on a mishit. Just got to remember, the faster you swing, the more force you put into the shaft, the more that shafts like that separate. A lot of players that are swinging between 90 and 105 or even slower miles an hour, you're not necessarily going to get as much benefit from those kind of aftermarket shafts as you would think. And given the price tag, you're picking up, I'm holding an 850 Canadian dollar driver here. And to say that this shaft so far wouldn't be something I could actually play, pretty confidently on the golf course would not be true. I actually think that I'm actually getting along with it quite well. Yeah, a nice one there as well. So interesting thing about, fitting these shafts, this is the blue version here. Technically the white one's a little bit stiffer for me, stiffer in the tip. If anything, I tend to hit the higher part of the face, so if I'm fitting myself, I'd be a little bit careful, because usually the sort of stiffer tip stuff will move your strike point even higher in the face. In my case, I'd want to be a little bit careful with that. So one thing with the stock shafts, the more options that they have, the better. They don't necessarily always have different profiles, but don't necessarily pigeonhole yourself into, okay, I swing this fast, let me get the most tip stiff one, and vice versa. Use the shaft profile more for your dynamic loft and your strike position, and the flex and weight to sort of hold up to the force that you put into the shaft. Yeah, it's pretty good. Just caught that a little bit low on the toe. All good results. Okay, next I'll do one that's a little bit controversial at times. People will at times sort of go, oh, okay, it's a Ping shaft. Ping makes their own stock shafts, although they do have other options. They have a Chrome 2.0 shaft here that I'm going to try that I find fits a variety of players. You can get it all the way down in a regular flex, all the way up to an X flex. To me, it's like a nice medium profile. It's slightly counterbalanced because Ping's heads are a little bit heavier. And again, it's going to come with the driver. It's been engineered by Ping specifically for their head. In my experience, it fits a nice wide variety of players. It's a nice one there to start. The slightly counterbalanced shaft just helps you not, you're fitting somewhere, you're not going between heads and they all of a sudden go, oh man, this feels really heavy. Sometimes that puts people off. So the heavier head can be good because the miss-hit performance is extremely good on a ping. That was actually a little bit in the heel. So you can kind of take advantage of that without the whole club feeling heavy and hard to swing. It's nice too. Yeah, hit this one pretty well. A lot of these shafts that are, they're not too extreme one way or the other. They're sort of the blue profile shafts. You'll find a lot of people fit into those, and I usually try to be careful with people if they're hitting the ball too low. Don't all of a sudden give them like a high launch, soft tip red profile shaft thinking you're just going to fix it. You really should be using the head, the loft of the head, the spin profile of the head. That's really what you want to dial in first. And then let's find a shaft that helps them control their face angle as consistently as possible, their strike point as consistently as possible. It's good too. Slightly off the heel, but that's okay. Shafts within the stock range that you are playing around with, if one gives you a slightly better, strike point location, if you need higher strike and you need lower strike, that can be part of the reason that you want to make that decision. Don't just go, oh, hey, I swing really fast. I need the stiffest shaft there, stiffest tip shaft. Oh, I swing pretty slow. I need the softest shaft there. Not necessarily. As long as you can still produce speed with them, you'd be amazed how little difference I see in club head speed. Somebody, trying to gain a couple miles an hour, just because I put them in a 40-gram shaft, I don't all of a sudden see 4 or 5 miles an hour. Honestly, sometimes you see nothing at all. So don't overestimate what the shaft is able to do. Make sure we're getting the head to really generate the launch conditions that you want. And the shaft, just try to deliver it to the golf ball as consistently as possible. Okay, next, probably one of the best stock shafts that I've seen anyone offer in recent years would be this Fujikura Pro that you can get in a DS Adapt Cobra. So they have, I've got the 60-gram X here. They do have a couple of Denali shafts, which are fine as well. I just think value for money, this one is very, very high. A Cobra driver is a little bit less expensive. I believe it's about 100 US less, 150 Canadian less to begin with for the head. And I think one of the best quality stock shafts you can get kind of out of anyone's offering. That's a good one there to start. Tiny bit in the heel, but good result. Yeah, this shaft feels pretty good. Again, it's supposed to be one of the stiffer ones we have here, but it still has nice feel. I wouldn't say that this 60X here would be out of range. If somebody swings anywhere above 108, 109, 110, it would be worth a look at. They do make it in a little bit softer flexes as well. A really good one there. Pretty much ideal numbers for me. Yeah, this feels good. Good efficiency out of it, not having to kind of wail at it. A lot of these getting kind of 175 ball speed, which is what on the golf course I would expect without having to swing out of my shoes. Overdrew it a little bit, and that's, I might mess with the head settings on this one a little bit just to get the curvature to reduce. The shaft feels pretty good. I think maybe I would just, if I was fitting myself for the driver, I might tinker with the face angle to be a little bit more open. To me, it's maybe just sitting a touch closed, but the ball flight itself, the energy transfer, like at 176 ball speed's fast. Strike location's been quite good. That's a good one there, just a tiny bit spinny, but all good results. So that one I really like. I think that's value-wise about as good as it gets. And then last but not least, Titleist for a number of years has offered, some different Mitsubishi 10C series stuff. This year they've got the 1K blue in there. You can get it as low as a 55-gram regular. You can get it all the way up to a 65-gram X, which I've got in here. Again, this is something I find a lot of people do quite well with. Can move them into the fairway wood with a little bit heavier, depending on their speed. Move them into a hybrid a little bit heavier. Give them some consistency there if they're purchasing like a set of woods, woods hybrids and driver. And it's not meant to be the stiffest profile in the world. It's actually from a couple years ago, but the AV white, AV raw white is still available, kind of custom but stock, so it's not an upcharge. I do that for a lot of faster players, but I find this particular shaft in various weights, it really works well for a lot of different players. It's a little high in the face, good though. A little better. Let's hit well there. Nice, yeah, that's pretty much a perfect ball flight there for me. So overall, just remember, if you're going to look for newer technology, newer driver, focus on letting your fitter get the head dialed in. Find a head that produces good launch, good spin, good ball speed, good forgiveness for your particular mishits. Don't get too obsessed with needing an aftermarket shaft. Make sure it justifies itself. So usually when someone comes in here, we're hitting a little bit of both. Some people say, hey, listen, I can't afford an aftermarket shaft. That's fine. We work within the stock ones. Some people say, hey, I'm curious about both. We'll kind of start with some stock stuff. We'll see how it performs. If we're really happy with it, we stop right there. If we're curious and we want to compare a little bit, we go back and forth and see if there's kind of a strike point advantage, a stability advantage. Just make sure it's justified in terms of making the purchase, and don't assume just because something is stock that it's no good. I mean, these companies are charging a lot for a driver. The least they can do is provide you with a pretty good shaft to go with the head. And honestly, in a lot of cases, they've done that.